Welcome to the first lick, or as it's titled on here, Lick 1, in my second artist series group of lessons. In this lesson, we're going to be in drop D on electric guitar. It's a slower tempo, but don't let that fool you. There's some quick moving left and right hand stuff we're going to be working through. It's kind of like a swampy country bluesy thing. It's just kind of a culmination of a lot of things I've picked up over the years of playing. And honestly, I feel like this is sort of like a wheelhouse style for me. And it's kind of modeled after a song that is on Everett's album, which is Everett is the duo I'm in. It's kind of modeled after Can't Say No, which I love that way that track turned out. Check that out if you haven't. It's on King's the Dairy Queen parking lot side A. Shameless self-promotion. But yeah, get that guitar in drop D and let's get rolling. This is the lesson for lick 1. Tone-wise, let's make sure we're kind of in the same ballpark together. I'm gonna tell you, but you can, whatever guitar you want to do is cool. But I'm on the bridge pickup, and this telly works really great. I feel like with this kind of swampy playing, but sometimes I do feel like other guitars in the bridge pickup position might they might be a little harsh. So you may want to play around with your pickup selection. I definitely have the gain maybe like on the lighter side. You could say maybe like medium light. I also have the guitar is tuned drop D, right? The low E string is down a whole step to D. I'm not using a pick. I'm using my fingers here, and I have fingernails, which kind of I play classical guitar and all that kind of stuff too, but it doesn't really matter if you got them or not. And you can use a pick if you want to. I just feel like this particular lick, I came up with it without a pick in my hand. I have a little bit of delay going. It's just kind of a quick slap. If you got something like that, it's kind of just adds a little extra, little salt and pepper on this thing. Also, you don't have to have this, but I do feel like this will help tremendously as some compression. And I have a fair amount of compression rolling here. I feel like anytime you're doing like a chicken picking kind of thing, especially if it's like a less driven, a less country, less crunchy sound, some compression kind of helps bring up the softer notes and make your playing, as far as the volume, a little more uniform and listenable. It doesn't have to happen that way. I just feel like it's sort of part of the style for it to be sort of compressed, right? So when you're going, all of those notes are audible, rather than if I didn't have compression, some of them might kind of be like, oh, what happened there? I didn't hear. Oh, well, you know. But anyways, yeah, tone-wise, I think we got all that covered. I would say we're in, it's kind of like a bluesy mode, like I guess D Mixolydian, but also with the third is that bluesy third. We're kind of staying the riff part of it, kind of just down here on the lower 3 frets, and then for some variations we move up and we'll do some fun stuff here and there. So it's kind of a combination of like you're playing a riff and then some licks sprinkled in. So yeah, let's get rolling on what in the world we're playing here. The tabs will help tremendously, so please pull those up if you haven't. All right, let's hear what this the main part of this lick sounds like. That's kind of where the variation starts coming in, right? But that main part is going to kind of keep coming back, and sort of, it's like the return point, and then we get a new variation, and then the return point, we get a new variation, all that jazz. But yeah, so let's learn, get those tabs out. It's really going to help. Drop D. So I'm gonna still call it low E, just to make sure we're on the right string or whatever. But so low E open. I'm also palm muting, mainly palm muting the low E, A, and D string. Those notes need to be kind of just muty, and then the G, B, and high E are kind of allowed to sing out a little more. So yeah, open E, open there, and then we're gonna do 2nd fret of the G, 1st fret of the B together. Back to low E, 3rd fret of the A, bend up. Then open D, back to low E. Okay. And then we're going to do this bend here. We're going to go 2nd fret of the G, 3rd fret of the D, bend up the D string of the half step, and do it again. and then pull off to open D. And then we start this run here. This really sounds better if you can mute these strings. The D string is kind of not super muted, but definitely the A and low E. We're going to go open A, hammer on the 3rd fret, and then open D. 3rd fret of the A, pull off to open. 3rd fret of the D, oh, I'm sorry, the low E. And then we're going to go open D, open A, 3rd fret of the low E, pull it up a little bit. Just bend it like a half step. And if you notice, I'm using my thumb mainly on the low strings, and this part here, I'm starting with my thumb, and then the D string, I'm using my pointer finger to get that note. And then I'm gonna go thumb, thumb again, and then pointer finger, and then thumb, thumb. So you gotta, your thumb's gotta be agile. That's kind of moving around a lot, which I think playing some banjo and whatever kind of helped me, or I guess just playing like in, the chicken picking style helps. My thumb is, I feel like it's pretty agile these days, but some days maybe less. But yeah, that's probably the hardest part of this deal. But it sounds so cool to me to do those low notes that could be pretty muddy, but when you mute them, I just think that it's so cool. All right, so right after that, we shift back to what we're doing in the first measure. Right, that's all the same. And here's where the first variation comes in. This is the first ending. We're gonna hit the 3rd fret of the D, 2nd fret of the G together, and then plop down. I guess it's kind of whatever string you're hitting as you mute it. Then shift up 2 frets, 5th fret of the D, 4th fret of the G, plop down again, and then last, we're gonna do 2nd fret of the G, 3rd fret of the B. So just kind of a little singing line. Nothing too crazy, that first variation. Those 2 measures sound like this. Sorry. Right? So getting into the second ending here, it'll go like this, starting the first measure of the song. Right? And then we'll do this here. This bend. It's the 8th fret of the B and the high E. Bend up the B string a whole step. And then hit it again. As you bring it down, you're going to release that bend and then pull off to the 6th fret of the B. And then shift down the E string 1 fret, so it's now 7th fret of the E, 6th fret of the B, and bend up the B string a whole step. All right? It's kind of a fun, I don't know, kind of steel guitar-y sort of sounding thing. Those 2 measures. Whew, sorry, you gotta get that bend all the way up. It's kind of hard to get that sometimes. But yeah, moving on. And by the way, when I'm saying endings, like that was the second ending, that's when you repeat back to the beginning of the song. You'll do those first 2 measures, and then you do the 2 measures that are the first ending, and then the second ending happens after you repeat you repeat every time, but then play a different measure 3 and 4. Measure 3 and 4 will be the first ending, and then you repeat back, and then measure 3 and 4 will be the second ending. Repeat back, measure 3 and 4 will now be the third ending. Hopefully that makes sense. I know it's a little weird if you haven't worked with that before, but hopefully that makes sense. Definitely working with the jam along will, hearing it all in context will help out, and we'll cover all of these and when we play it to tempo here in a little bit. So anyways, moving on to the third ending. Again, that means we repeat it back. We played the first 2 measures, and then now we're in third ending. Starts off like the first measure, right? You do all of that the same, and then we're gonna do this cool bend. I'm doing the 3rd fret of the D and the 4th fret of the G. I'm just gonna bend the G string up a half step to where it makes like a power chord, right? And then I'm gonna do the same thing up 2 frets. So I'm now on the 5th fret of the D, 6th fret of the G. You gotta be really careful not to overbend it like I just did. You have to really use your ear to make sure you can kind of hear like all of the overtones, like they kind of organize themselves when you get that fifth as perfect as you can. There it is, that sweet spot where there's less like, you can kind of hear that happening if you're listening really closely. But yeah. Oh, it's hard to get that. But yeah, those 2 measures. All right, right at the end of that, you just kind of get back down to this position to start measure 1 and 2 again. Right. And now we're getting to the fourth and final ending. It starts like all the other ones where you do, right? That all is the same, but we're going to do this here. Okay. So I'm doing this with my pinky on the 3rd fret of the B. First finger, I'm going to be on the 1st fret of the G. Slide up real quick to the 2nd, right? With the B string still ringing. And then I'm going to do a back down to the 1st fret of the G, hit the 1st fret of the G, 3rd fret of the B together, and then 3rd fret of the D, back to that pull off, 3rd fret of the D again, and then open G, 3rd fret of the B, and now I'm going back to the 3rd fret of the D, pull off to open, then 3rd fret of the A, open D, open A, 3rd fret of the D, low E, sorry, and bend that a half step, and then open. So like it sounds way better when it's faster, but I'll try to slow down a bit. Okay, that whole ending, the fourth and final ending, sounds like this. All right, so now that we kind of got this down, let's slow it down just a little bit and make sure it's clear enough for us. I got a little smudge on my arm. I don't know what that is. So yeah, here's the first 4 measures. Do it slowly. 3, 4. Right. Moving on, we'll do the first 2 measures and second ending slowly. 3, 4. All right, now let's do the third ending, also with the first 2 measures in there. Here we go. 3, 4. All right, fourth ending with the first 2 measures in there too. 3, 4. Alrighty. Hopefully that all is together. Let's try that now with the metronome to tempo. We'll really get it rolling here. It's pretty fun to play. We'll just do the whole thing all the way through. All right, from the beginning, here we go. 1, 2, 3.